Hello and welcome to this edition of the InFOCUS video podcast from the Radio and Television Business Report. It is presented by .fm, streaming social podcast or broadcast. Get a .fm domain name by heading over to get.fm today. And today we are welcoming to the podcast Mr. Joe D Angelo. He is the Senior Vice President of Global Broadcast Radio at Xperi Inc. Incorporated. That's the parent company of such familiar brands as TiVo, HD Radio, and the DTS AutoStage. And he's here to share a little bit about the latest developments from a company that's been seeing increased attention to its broadcast media technology for on-the-go consumers for the last several years. To learn more about what's ahead for NAB Show attendees in particular, come April 19th, which is just hours away, we welcome Joe to the conversation. It's unbelievable that we are actually here on the eve of the 2026 NAB show in Las Vegas, which we're going to turn to our attention to right away. I'd like to start the conversation, if I may, by sharing, if you could, a little bit more about TiVo. It's a brand that consumers have known for many years, and it's evolved in many ways. And I'm wondering what you can share about some of the key brand growth plans that are ahead for the next 12 months.
Sure, Adam. Thanks for having me. It's great to see you again. Can't believe it's another NAB show.
Right.
TiVo, TiVo is a well-known brand, started in the DVR space, decades ago, and it's really evolved. And we have two products basically under the TiVo umbrella. We have our TiVo video products, which are being implemented as fully integrated TV operating systems in millions of TVs around the world. But then we also have our TiVo music metadata platform, which represents one of the largest fully licensed catalogs of metadata for music in the world that's supplied to DSPs and broadcasters around the world.
Of course, Xperi has two radio industry offerings that continue to attract a lot of attention, and one of them is the DTS AutoStage. I really enjoyed being behind the wheel of a vehicle at the 2025 NAB show that had a lot of enhanced visuals. And as visuals become more important to an audio medium, wondering what sort of experience NAB attendees will enjoy this year as they engage with the Xperi team and a little bit more about DTS AutoStage in particular.
Sure. Yeah, you're absolutely right. Visuals in the dashboard right now are table stakes. You just have to look at any media that's available in the car. They all have rich visuals that aid with discovery and engagement, and radio is no different. And thanks to both HD Radio and AutoStage, broadcast radio is in an amazing position to compete and really grab and retain that audience's attention. We have right now about 125 million cars on the road with HD radio, all supporting visuals. And on the AutoStage side, we just broke 16 million cars on the road. Now, that's a global number, but
Right.
The lion's share of those, about 60%, are on the road in the US. In terms of NAB, what you'll see on the show floor, we're going to have a vehicle again. We'll have the Genesis, which is a beautiful implementation. But we're also going to be showcasing our new analytics platform, which launched in November of last year and has gone through a number of iterations, feature upgrades, market expansions, and that will be on display. And just to give you a little sense of what that means, in the month of March, we measured over 41 million hours of in-car radio listening in the US. An average of 750 million individual measurement events a day. So our ability to understand where, how, and what radio audiences are listening to has never been richer than it is right now.
The idea of rich media measurement from Xperi is a conversation that I've had with many people off the record in the radio industry. And we know that there are challenges that are being played out in a federal court right now against the nation's leading provider of audience measurement. That does not necessarily mean that Xperi is going to be competing with Nielsen Audio. It's going to perhaps be augmenting and providing data in a different way. And I'm wondering if you could take a moment to at least encapsulate what that key difference is and how radio can capitalize on that to, at the end of the day, bring in more core advertising dollars, because that's such an essential thing right now.
Yeah, I think you've characterized the situation very well. We are not a currency. We are a different view of your audience. We're only a view into in-car listening, but we are a view across over 300 markets. So we offer the same level of analytics understanding in markets 1 all the way down to 302 right now, with plans to expand beyond that. So we're giving broadcasters very timely information, the next day, basically, insights into how their audience is engaged with their programming, where they are on the road while they're listening to the radio station, which is proving an invaluable tool to sellers as they go into potential local advertisers and can actually demonstrate and visualize their audience driving past a retail location. It's been extremely powerful. So we view this as a complementary data set to the listening activity that happens in some of the cars in all the markets.
We're going to pause for a quick word from our sponsor at this time, and we will then be back with more from Joe D Angelo at Xperi. This is the Radio and Television Business Report InFOCUS Podcast, and is presented by .fm.
You're launching the next big podcast, building a vibrant social community, or broadcasting your brand to the world. .fm is your signal to stand out. Don't just stream, streamline your success with .fm. Claim yours today at www.get.fm.
And we thank .fm for presenting this InFOCUS video podcast. My name is Adam R. Jacobson. I'm the editor-in-chief of the Radio and Television Business Report. And I'm back with Joe D Angelo at Xperi Incorporated. Joe, the Cocktails and Conversation event is again scheduled to be a key gathering for radio industry professionals during the NAB Show. Xperi is a sponsor of this event. We're wondering, from your perspective, what you believe will be among the many conversations heard in the room, and if there's one topic of conversation that at least is on your mind that you look forward to having.
Yeah, we're really looking forward to the event. It is a tradition now. I think we've been doing it 5 or 6 years, so I think there'll be a lot of familiar faces in the room, a lot of great business partners. So we're happy to host it again. And I think, from our perspective, I think measurement is going to be the hot topic of conversation, specifically as it begins to build a bridge to real, true programmatic marketplace for broadcast radio. So I think those two concepts kind of go hand in glove. And we've seen, the growth of digital audio advertising in the U.S. is, I'll call it slow and steady. It's on a trajectory to be about a $7 billion a year business. And the more broadcast radio can participate in that space, obviously the better the health of the industry. So we're actively looking to see how we can help leverage our analytics to open up those marketplaces to traditional broadcasters.
This is an invitation-only event at the Capitol Grill and Fashion Show Las Vegas, so please be sure to RSVP. We definitely have to talk about HD radio. And as we talk about HD radio, as we move forward into the next year, I have to say that there's now a HD5 FM or an HD6 FM in some markets. And that's very exciting because it shows how there's more content available for the listener, and getting to that content isn't as cumbersome as in previous years based on some of the new vehicles and some of the OEM audio systems I'm seeing. In Washington, D.C. in particular, I'm very excited because I can now listen to WRNR out of Annapolis on an HD subchannel tied to WTOP while I'm driving around Prince William County, Virginia.
Nice.
And Gamut is right there, right next to it on another subchannel. So it's one example of what HD radio is bringing along with that crisper audio. Is there anything of note about HD radio that in the next 6 to 12 months will certainly be eye-catching in particular?
Well, I think one of the interesting things, and Hubbard has been a leading proponent of HD radio, really pushing a lot of the capabilities of the technology. So I'm not surprised to hear your story there. But we're now at 125 million cars on the road. And what's interesting, if for those of you that watched the Q Automotive podcast, you'll see that HD radio is extremely well represented now in the top 100 selling vehicles. And that's very important because you're seeing that install base grow. But at the same time, you're seeing the HMI, the user experience, become much, much more intuitive. So those multicast channels that are proliferating are much easier to find. They're graphically represented with station logos and now playing information. And I think the real exciting thing is the combination of the better user interface, the additional channels is driving revenue opportunities for broadcasters. There are now hundreds of broadcast radio stations actively monetizing the enhanced text and metadata capabilities of HD radio, both with the Q Interactive system and the audio display system offered by RCS. So there is really an unlocking of revenue and enhanced services for advertisers. And just for reference, that 125 million number represents 40% of the installed base of, or the active base of passenger vehicles in the US. So that is really a significant milestone.
Any final thoughts before we conclude and we see each other in Las Vegas?
I think just as always, it'll be great to get together again. I think back to the slow recovery from COVID with face-to-face meetings. And it's something I'm really looking forward to. I think celebrating the strong position that radio is in, not only with its audience, but also with automakers.
Well, thank you, Joe, for joining us on this InFOCUS podcast once again. It's always great to have you here.
Thanks, Adam.
That was Joe D Angelo from Xperi. And with that, we want to thank you for watching this radio and television business report InFOCUS video podcast. It was presented by our friends at .fm, streaming social podcast or broadcast. To get a .fm domain name by heading over to get.fm today, and be sure to follow and subscribe to this podcast on YouTube and tell a friend about what we're doing as well. I'm here in Boca Raton, Florida, and I am heading out to Las Vegas to cover the 2026 NAB Show. I will be there in attendance around the Las Vegas Convention Center, the Win, the Encore, and of course the Cocktails and Conversations event from April 19th through the 21st. Coverage will appear in our upcoming summer 2026 Radio and Television Business Report magazine that arrives May 11th, just in time for the MFM and FEI Financial Leaders Forum in San Antonio. On behalf of the entire team here at the Radio and Television Business Report, we thank you again for tuning into this video podcast, and please make this your peaceful day. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.